because of the worlds that we've set ourselves as rooted in. So when we see natural occurrences, things that are absolutely normal, we say it's supernatural. So it even goes down to the microcosmic level of waking up. We'll say that that is a supernatural activity, that God the Almighty has woke me up this morning and given me another day to praise Him. This is silly. If you feel that you were created and placed on this planet for the sole purpose of praising something, then whatever that something is must be pretty vain. Now, I'm not disrespecting anyone's God, because in truth this is not how quote unquote God operates, nor is this the nature of the Almighty. The Almighty is not so vain that it needs something to worship and praise it. The only thing that needs something to worship and praise it are spirit beings that live on the astral plane. Now, a great example of this to understand is if you watch the movie Clash of the Titans. And there are other movies like that. Even Nightmare on Elm Street is a good example of that. But what it really gets into is speaking about how these spirit energies, or we'll go from Clash of the Titans, and we'll go with these quote unquote gods. And when man stopped praising or praying to these gods, they began to lose strength and power, because they lived and were made eternal and immortal from the prayers of man. Okay, so one of the things they did in the movie was, because man started getting fed up with all this praying, or more so all of this servitude, the gods got together and said, okay, you know what we'll do? Hades, who was Lord of the Underworld, he said, well, I'll go around and I will reinstill fear into man. And their fear will cause them, for one, Hades says, I survive and live off of their fears, but the fears will also cause them to run back to the gods to pray more. Now, if you understand really, and I really strongly urge you to watch the movie. There's two that came out, one in the 2000s, a few years ago, and there was one that came out in the 80s. And the one that came out recently was a remake, but different points were hit on in each one. So to really study, and I always say you need to comparatively study as well as cross-reference. I would urge you to watch both of the movies and really look at, the differences. And there's a lot of science in it, even with Medusa, Medu, Sa, as well as Perseus, and understanding who and what Perseus is. This is a problem. This is a problem right there. So if you're praying to something, I don't care if you even say, well, I pray to my ancestors. Well, why would you be dependent upon your ancestors? You have to think of it, rewind from where you are currently and the color and shade of what your life currently looks like. And let's take ourselves, let's return to our essence, right? Heaven, Orun, the stars, wherever you see your essence as being. Now, it's commonly accepted that the essence is a place of abundance, prosperity, love, oneness, interconnectedness. Okay. So if you came from a place like that, what sense would it make for you to choose to come to a place now where you're dependent on the same beings that you were maybe once rubbing elbows with? Why not just stay where you're at? Why come all the way to a physical reality, or to the planet, or to Earth in its physical form, just to become dependent on something else? See, some people, they pray to live. They live their life by prayer. So in essence, you're living your life begging. You're moving through your entire life as a beggar, as a panhandler, constantly begging entities, and we'll get into this in a moment, entities that are actually beneath your spiritual station. You're begging them to help assist you, or to help get you through a life that only you can get yourself through. And you ask yourself if that makes any type of sense whatsoever. Why not just stay where you're at if you have to come to a place and now beg your way through it. So why do I say you're now begging entities that are beneath you? Because if you come from an essence, okay, and we'll say the highest of the heavens, if that's where you came from, and you come to this physical reality, and you start begging, or let's say you start praying to Orisha or a man-made concept of God, or you're begging, or you're praying to angels or to saints or to Lawal or to any cosmic natir entities that you feel have something that you do not have internally, then those entities now become your dependency and they rule over you. But in fact, when you fell down from heaven, you have a council, you have councils of advisors. You don't lay yourself on the board table of your council of advisors. You listen to their advice, and then you determine the best course to plot out, and you make it so. You have to stand on your own feet and be accountable for your journey. The concept of prayer removes you from that responsibility and that accountability. The concept as we know it. You should never pray, but you should affirm. You should never pray, but you should affirm. If you need to work with an Orisha, you affirm what needs to be done with that Orisha, as opposed to say, well, I'm praying to Oshun that you bring me love, and if it be in your will, bring the love to me. Now you're not accountable for what it is that you desire, because that love may come and you may find, you know what, this is not what I needed right now. What I actually needed was respect. I should have asked for something else, especially for a man. For men, love is not really important to us. That's not really what we look for. Some of us may want it, but we don't particularly need it. What we truly need is respect. Okay, for women it's different. They need love before they need respect. Now I know people will say, oh no, you're going to respect me. Right. Listen to what I'm saying. Women need love as men need respect. Okay. Now, is that to say that if a woman gets love and respect, she has something extra that she doesn't need? No. But her primary objective is love, which is a connectiveness. She wants to connect to something. A man primarily needs respect, which means he needs to be seen as God. That's his first primary target and aim, to be seen as the divine being. Okay. And to have something to reflect his light on. Now back to our prayer. You were not put here to beg. You were put here to speak things into existence using the spiritual authority or power that you have. I know it becomes a very lonely reality when you realize, wait a minute, I don't have anything or anyone to beg that actually has my best interests at heart. No, but you do. Remember, there are various aspects to who and what you are. You're not just your mind. You're not just your spirit. You're not even just your soul. But the soul is so often underlooked or overlooked that we never try to connect with it, as it is a much more powerful source than all these spirits and gods that you're running around trying to connect with. You know, you go to people's houses, they may have 10 million shrines of archetypes or quote unquote gods from all over the planet. But how many shrines do they have to themselves? How many, and really I should say altars. How many altars, because a shrine is an altar, something different. You're going to learn that in your classes. But how many altars do you have that invoke